Good morning. I hope you slept well. I hope you had no negative dreams after this very, very strange dancing experience. I repeat that I have never ever seen any conference anywhere in the world with such a strange event. And I was totally against it, and then I saw you laughing and jumping and getting younger and more beautiful. Very interesting. So I think that the UN and all the other big organizations will, at the end of every day, have this dancing experience now. Okay, so we continue with music, like Ebon said, and to give you some information, we will see a little film. It's an important part of our ideology, if we have an ideology that could be described as such a thing, that we work with children, that we encourage institutions in the city to work with refugees, with people with a refugee background, and with our Austrian children that all have in reality a refugee background 100 years ago or 150 years ago. And we have this friend, Marwan Abado, who is a genius on the oud. He's really, that's not an exaggeration, one of the best oud players in the world. And he's a Palestinian guy and lives in Vienna since, I think, 1200. And yeah, I know. My grandfather went to school with you. So this is it. Let's enjoy. He worked for a year, I think twice a week you worked with these children, and they were all from the second grade, no?
2 classes.
2 classes?
Second grade.
Okay, 2 classes, second grade.
But you will see them now.
But we are against a class society, eh? And you work immediately with 2 classes. Okay. Let's see what is going to happen. I don't predict anything anymore. I'm prepared for the worst and for the best.
Ich bin Klassenlehrerin der 2b.
I'm the class teacher of the 2B class, and actually I teach the children all subjects. These are children with different cultural and language backgrounds, also different levels. In my class there are 23 children from 7 nations altogether. It's a little bit different than in the 2B class. It's more homogeneous, and I've been heading this class since the first day.
Essen.
Wirklich, mir hat das sehr beeindruckt, diese
This clearness really impressed me, that Marwan wanted to clarify and explain certain words, whether it is an instrument or a name of a song, so something that can be derived, wanting to know more about something and wanting to be informed about something and finding words for that. So I found this to be very elementary. For me, music has to do something with a room, which could also be viewed in the context of a language, but it has to do with a place in which I myself, with my perception, with my experiencing the world, of how I look into the world, how I hear it, how I smell it, how I taste it. Although it is about music and happiness, there was also a lot of sadness in it, and I don't know all children's stories, but I know that there are many memories from the war, from the experience of flight, of fleeing the country, perhaps that they have experienced something terrible. Having the advantage, which of course I did not have to understand in terms of language, what this song is to communicate, because it is in their mother tongue, in Arabic, and then that I could also, so that they could say, okay, this makes me sad. And one boy was very much concerned, and he said, well, I'm almost crying. And from the first school day on, perhaps I can come to terms with that a little bit better. And for me, this opens an additional channel to express this. What was surprising in the next lesson and in the following lessons, that I could observe the children concentrating. The children were more and more able to calm down, to see and hear, to process. This is something they could also do in a more in a patient way. They also bring the appreciation with this, and with this also their self-confidence. I have experienced children who haven't talked for several days. They start talking now, and definitely these 2 hours spent with music in which they do something special, this was definitely supportive. There was also a certain degree of improvisation, spontaneity and flexibility, and that this can adapt to something more. And I also think that children who feel more ashamed have learned to do more in a sustainable way.
Vielen herzlichen Dank.
Many thanks.
Noch eine kleine Überraschung für euch.
We have still prepared a small surprise for you in the back of the room.
Da wartet Harald Karrer auf euch.
Harald Karrer is waiting for you with a finger party.
Okay, danke. Also, zuständig für Tanz,
Well,
Miriam Krebel.
Miriam Prebel is responsible for dancing.
Zuständig für das Mundwerk, Christian Recklis.
Christian Recklis is responsible for the other instruments.
Und
Thank you.
Abado.
And Marwan Abado.
Andre Heller.
Andre Heller.
Und Sie bitte auch.
And you too, please, again.
Sie sind die Direktorin.
So you are the headmistress of the school. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Die Kinder bekommen, ich habe gehört, sie haben sich gewünscht, sie wollen ins
I
Theater.
understand
They want to
that
go to a
it was
theater.
the children's wish was to go to the theatre.
A visit in a theater. So we invite all the children to a play in Vienna, and I hope it will be an unforgettable afternoon or morning. I think it's a morning show. Because yeah, here it is. Okay. Bitte schön. Für die Kinder.
There we go. For the children to visit the theatre. Thank you.
Okay. Your translation program is working because I switched to German. Du weißt, mein Lieblingslied.
You know my favorite song.
Wir sind
You know what my favorite song is? We Are a Girl. No, I am a girl. Ich bin ein Mädchen.
Eine.
I am a girl, a girl, a girl.
Will be an international top hit. And Lady Gaga and Madonna are already fighting for the rights. That's what I heard. Okay. Ich bin eine Mädchen. Eine. Okay. Oskar Spielschule im 15. Bezirk in Wien.
That's the Oskar Spiel School in the 15th district. Could you please briefly explain who Oskar Spiel was? Oskar Spiel was the son of a shoemaker, and he studied with Sigmund Freud and Alfred Adler. And then he became an individual psychologist and teacher. He was also heading a school himself, and his main concern was education to democracy, and everything reached its peak in the 1920s until under Otto Glöckl, this experienced a highlight, but then this was followed by Austrian fascism, and this was then banned. This is why this work was stopped. But after the war, Oskar Spiel was heading a school until 1961, until the then Austrian government no longer wanted to further lead this school, to have this school, and then in 1988, another such school was founded. And it was again a concentration on these principles. So an equality of cognitive, emotional contents. These were necessary, and also the children should learn an autonomy very early, and the children should definitely have an access to their feelings, and the children are able, should be able, and process under a certain guidance in the school. And here I'd like to stop. I attended a Jesuit school, but I would have preferred to go to an Oskar Spielschule school where children learn democracy and get an awareness for human rights and tolerance and solidarity. And actually this would be necessary in all schools in Austria, in every school, in every country, by the way. But it's good that you do it at least. Now, what was different, given the fact that you have initiated several projects? What's different in this project here? Well, I had the opportunity to accompany these schools since September. And it's, of course, a totally different kind of work with more concentration, and it requires more fantasy on my part. But as we see here, the children have their own compositions. I taught them to write tones with colors, and with this, according to this, they have developed this scheme, as you can see here. So it's a new kind of music, of writing music. Well, it's something elementary to begin with, where children can also see, read, and can move to the music. And this is the most important thing at this age. In former days, age differences played a major role. These were older children, and now we have 7- to 8-year-old children in our group. And the nicest thing about this is to think about music and having the possibility to do music without having a piano at home. And this was the most important thing for me. And as we have heard in the film already, the children have also worked during the work. Yes, definitely. And I have to say that I have observed almost all music units and lessons. And for me, it was already an important start to see how Marwan approached the children. I was very much touched from the very beginning. And he took a lot of time to introduce himself to every child and to learn every child's first name. So it was already a ceremony. Marwan arrived in the group. Marwan took enough time for building up the relationship with the children. And beyond that, as an observer, I have experienced it as a great appreciation that he needed a lot of time when looking into each child's face, and despite the fact that we have no school bell, we don't have that in our school. We had a totally new time unit, and music has to do a lot with resonance. Resonance needs space, and I think that the children, together with you, have won also an additional piece of space, and so have I, and so have the other teachers. Exactly. I wanted to find out each child's name. And these were partly also difficult names, and after a quarter of an hour I learned all names. And then I asked the children, why do you have this and that name? No child knew the answer. And then I told them, okay, please go home and ask your parents why they gave you these names. So in the next hour, Next lesson, we had about 24 different stories, and every child was very proud of having a certain meaning attached to his or her name. And some children did not have such a story to tell, but they invented a story, and this was also a great experience. So this was the bridge I built to these children. Well, actually, why is your name Marwan? Well, literally translated, this should mean Flintstone.
Haben deine Eltern die Flintstones immer
Did your parents watch Flintstones? Or Firestone? Actually, my parents didn't have any background or did not think anything about that.
Sie haben vor, ein Buch zu schreiben.
Another question. You are planning to write a book about this experience? Well, both of us. Yes, we would like to do this. Yes. What's unbelievable in this school is the fact that both Uli and the children, they all participated from the very beginning. And this is also an important principle of sustainability, and you are the carriers of these principles. And we took this initiative together, and I don't have this psychological view since I'm a musician, and I have developed a certain method. And now, if both views can be written down, this can also be a great achievement and a great performance for all musicians and pedagogues in the country, because this kind of music teaching should take place in every elementary school. And how will this continue? Now has supported this. Well, first of all, I have to thank you all. Well, is this the case? Well, of course, it is the case. We have supported it. Actually, it's up to the bosses to decide. But I think this morning's session was also a great commercial, great publicity for the purpose of this, and also the film documentation of Nicole Solka was also very important. Also, the possibility to carry out this project is not really possible to that extent with public funding, and this is why we are very grateful. So we'll see what we can do. But I would once again like to take the opportunity to express my thanks and my gratitude to everyone who has made this possible. Thank you once again to the musicians, the dancers, those who have filmed us for coming to us at regular intervals from the very beginning. You've been part of our school, and this also confirms me in my belief that we are all people and that there is no threshold. We got along very well from the very beginning, so we have created something together which we otherwise would never have been able to achieve. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And I am a girl.
Thank you very much.